The ocean was cold and dark. Tejo could feel the pressure pushing against his diving suit as he swam deeper into the flooded city. Above him, the ruins of old Busan stretched like the bones of a dead giant. Buildings that once touched the sky now lay broken beneath the waves. Fish swam through empty windows. Seaweed grew on rusted cars. Tejo had been diving here for 10 years. He knew every street, every collapsed tower, every dangerous current. The flooded city was his hunting ground. He searched for technology, for metal, for anything that could help his settlement survive another winter. His people lived on the cliffs above the water. 53 souls in a village made of salvaged steel and hope. They had generators that barely worked, water filters that needed constant repair, children who had never seen the world before the floods. Today, Tejo was searching for power cells. The settlement's main generator was dying. Without new parts, they would lose heat before the cold season ended. People would freeze. Children would die. He swam past a collapsed shopping center. The storm 3 days ago had been violent. It had shifted the seabed, opened new paths, revealed new ruins. Tejo followed one of these new paths now, pushing through clouds of disturbed sand. Then he saw it. At first, he thought it was another building. But buildings did not curve like that. Buildings were not smooth like polished stone. Buildings did not reflect his flashlight with a strange, dark shimmer. Tejo stopped swimming. His heart beat faster. He had found many strange things in the flooded city. Old military equipment. Sealed bunkers. Once, he found a submarine from a war fought centuries ago. This was different. The object was massive. It stretched at least 200 meters, half buried in the ocean floor. Its surface was black, but not like paint or metal. It seemed to absorb light, to drink it in, and give nothing back. The shape was wrong for anything human. Too smooth, too perfect, no seams, no bolts, no rust. Tejo swam closer. His training told him to turn back. His instincts screamed danger, but his people needed supplies. If this thing held technology, even alien technology, he had to know. He found the crack on the third pass around the object. The storm had done more than reveal this thing. It had damaged it. A section of the hull had split open, creating a gap just wide enough for a man to squeeze through. Tejo hesitated. The water near the crack felt different. Warmer. There was a faint vibration, like the heartbeat of something vast and sleeping. He thought of the children in his settlement. He thought of his sister Yuna, working day and night to keep their machines running. He thought of Elder Dongwon, who had trusted him with this mission. Tejo squeezed through the crack. Inside, the water ended. He emerged into a pocket of air that should not exist. The atmosphere was breathable, though it tasted strange, like copper and flowers. His suit's sensors confirmed it was safe. Somehow, this ancient thing still had working life support. Tejo removed his helmet and looked around. The interior was beautiful. That was his first thought. Walls curved like the inside of a shell, covered in patterns that glowed with soft blue light. The floor was made of something like glass, but warm to the touch. Strange symbols floated in the air, holographic and constantly shifting. This was not human technology. This was not anything from Earth. Tejo walked deeper into the ship, because that was what it had to be. A ship, a vessel from somewhere beyond the stars. He had heard stories of such things, old tales from before the floods, when humans still looked up at the sky and dreamed of other worlds. He found rooms filled with strange objects, crystals that hummed when he touched them, devices he could not understand. In one chamber, he found what looked like seats, designed for bodies that were not quite human. Taller, thinner, with too many joints. He collected what he could. Small objects that might be power sources. Crystals that glowed with inner light. Anything that looked useful. His bag grew heavy with alien treasure. Then he found the chamber. It was at the heart of the ship, behind a door that opened when he approached. The room was circular, empty except for a single pillar of pale light in the center. Within that light, floating like a man frozen in time, was a figure. Tejo stopped breathing. The figure was humanoid, but not human. Its skin was gray, the color of storm clouds. Its body was thin, almost fragile-looking. Wrapped in what might have been clothing or armor, its face had 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, all closed in sleep. Its hands had 6 fingers each, long and delicate. It floated in the light, perfectly still. Not dead. Taeho could somehow tell it was not dead. Just sleeping. Waiting. For what? Taeho should have left. He knew this. Every part of his mind screamed at him to run, to swim back to the surface, to forget this place existed. But at the base of the pillar, he saw something that looked like a power core. It pulsed with energy. More power in that single object than his entire settlement used in a year. His people needed it. Taeho knelt beside the pillar. He studied the base, looking for a way to remove the power core without disturbing anything else. He found what looked like a release mechanism. His fingers touched it. The ship shuddered. The symbols on the walls changed color, shifting from blue to amber. A sound filled the air, like a voice speaking in a language older than humanity. The pillar of light flickered. Taeho jumped back, but it was too late. The figure's 4 eyes opened. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien and the human stared at each other across 4,000 years of sleep. Taeho saw confusion in those 4 eyes. Then recognition. Then rage. The alien moved faster than Taeho expected. One moment it was floating in the light. The next, it was on him. Hands around his throat. Screaming in a language that hurt to hear. The creature was tall, towering over Taeho, its grip like iron despite its thin frame. But Taeho was a survivor. He had fought raiders. He had killed men with his bare hands. He had crawled through the ruins of the old world and refused to die. He would not die here, at the hands of something that should not exist. Taeho drove his knee into the alien's stomach. The creature gasped, its grip loosening. Taeho grabbed one of its arms and twisted, using leverage and desperation. The alien was strong, but it was also weak. Thousands of years of sleep had stolen its power. They fell to the floor together. Taeho ended up on top, pinning the creature down with his weight. He pressed his forearm against its throat. The alien struggled, but could not break free. They stayed like that, breathing hard, staring at each other. The alien spoke. Its voice was rough, broken from millennia of silence. Taeho did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. Questions, demands, fury. Taeho answered in the only language he knew. I don't know what you are. I don't know where you came from. But if you want to live, you will stop fighting. The alien did not understand his words either. But it understood his eyes. It understood the weight pressing down on its chest. It understood that this small, soft creature had beaten it. Slowly, the alien stopped struggling. Taeho did not release his grip. He stayed there, pinning this impossible thing to the floor, while his mind tried to understand what he had done. He had come looking for power cells. He had found something far more dangerous. He had woken something ancient, something angry, something from a time when humans were still learning to farm, and now he had to decide what to do with it. Outside, the cold ocean waited. Above, his people waited. And beneath him, an alien that had slept for 4,000 years waited for his next move. Taeho made his choice. He would bring this creature to the surface. He would bring it to his sister. Yuna was smart. Yuna would know what to do, and if she did not know, they would figure it out together. That was what humans did. They faced the impossible, and they figured it out. Taeho stood, pulling the alien to its feet. He kept one hand on its arm, a warning and a promise. Come with me, he said. We have a lot to talk about. The alien did not understand his words, but it followed. The journey to the surface was slow and dangerous. Taeho had only one diving suit, and the alien clearly did not know how to swim. He had to drag the creature through the water, fighting the current while the alien thrashed and panicked. 4,000 years of sleep, and the thing did not know how to hold its breath. They broke the surface as the sun was setting. The alien gasped, coughing up water, its 4 eyes blinking against the orange light. Tejo pulled it toward the rocks, toward the path that led up the cliffs to his settlement. The alien stumbled constantly. Its legs were weak. Its body shook with cold and exhaustion. But its eyes never stopped moving. It looked at the sky, at the water, at the ruined coastline. Tejo saw something in those 4 eyes that surprised him: fear. The creature was afraid. Not of Tejo, not of the water. It was afraid of what it was seeing. The world had changed while it slept, and it did not understand how. They reached the settlement at nightfall. The guards saw them coming and raised their weapons. Tejo called out, identifying himself. The weapons lowered, but only halfway. "What is that thing?" one guard asked. "I don't know," Tejo admitted. "But I need to talk to Yuna." Now, they brought the alien to the workshop at the center of the settlement. Yuna was there, as always, surrounded by broken machines and salvaged parts. She looked up when the door opened. Her face went pale. "Brother," she said slowly, "what have you done?" Tejo pushed the alien into a chair. The creature did not resist. It seemed too tired to fight, too confused to care. It sat there, shivering, looking around at the crude human technology with something like disgust. "I found a ship," Tejo said, "under the water. This thing was inside. It woke up when I tried to take a power core." Yuna approached the alien carefully. She was smaller than Tejo, thinner, with quick eyes that missed nothing. She studied the creature like it was another machine to fix. "Can it understand us?" "No, it speaks something else. Something old." Yuna nodded. She walked to a shelf and pulled down a device. One of the few pieces of advanced technology they had managed to save. A translator. Built from military scraps. It did not work well. Most of the language databases had been lost in the floods, but it was better than nothing. She turned it on and pointed it at the alien. "Speak," she said. The alien looked at her. Its 4 eyes narrowed. Then, slowly, it began to talk. The translator flickered. Words appeared on its small screen, broken and incomplete, but enough to understand. The alien called itself Vale. It was a member of a species called the Kirith. It had been imprisoned in that ship, locked in a sleep that was meant to last forever. It wanted to know where it was. It wanted to know what had happened. It wanted to know why a primitive creature like Tejo had been able to overpower it. Yuna answered as best she could, speaking slowly so the translator could work. The Kirith Empire was gone. 3,000 years ago, it had collapsed. Wars, disease, rebellion. The great civilization that had ruled 1,000 worlds was now dust and memory. No one had come to wake Vale because there was no one left to come. Vale did not believe her at first. It demanded proof. Yuna showed it what they had. Historical records, salvaged from old databases. Star charts that showed empty space where Kirith worlds had once been. News reports from centuries ago, describing the fall of alien empires in distant galaxies. The alien read everything. Its hands trembled. Its 4 eyes grew wet with something that might have been tears. Then it laughed. The sound was harsh, broken, ugly. Vale laughed for a long time, until the laughter turned into something else, something like grief. 4,000 years, it said through the translator. I slept for 4,000 years, and they are all gone. Everyone who hated me, everyone who feared me, everyone who put me in that prison. Gone. Tejo watched the alien carefully. Why did they imprison you? Vale's eyes focused on him. The grief vanished, replaced by something harder, because I was too dangerous to kill. Tejo did not ask what that meant. He was not sure he wanted to know. Elder Dongwon arrived soon after. The old man walked with a cane, but his mind was sharp. He listened while Yuna explained what they had found. He looked at Vielle for a long time without speaking. Can it help us? He finally asked. Yuna hesitated. Maybe. If it wants to. That ship has technology we have never seen. Power sources, weapons, medical equipment. Enough to keep our settlement alive for generations. And what does it want in return? Vielle answered before anyone else could speak. The translator struggled with its words, but the meaning was clear. I want shelter, I want food, I want time to regain my strength. In exchange, I will teach you how to use what you found. But do not think we are equals. You are insects to me, children playing with tools you do not understand. I help you because I have no choice, nothing more. The room went silent. Tejo stepped forward, his hands curled into fists. We saved your life. We pulled you from that water when you would have drowned. You should show some respect. Vielle looked at him. Those 4 eyes held nothing but contempt. Respect? For what? Your species did not even exist when my people built empires. You crawled from the mud while we conquered stars. You are accidents of evolution. Temporary. Forgettable. In another 1,000 years, you will be gone too, and no one will remember you ever existed. Tejo wanted to hit the alien. He wanted to throw it back into the ocean and let it drown. But Yuna put a hand on his arm. We need it, she said quietly. Whatever it is, whatever it did, we need what it knows. Elder Dongwon nodded slowly. The creature speaks with pride. But pride does not fill bellies. Pride does not keep children warm. We will accept this trade, but we will also watch it. Every moment, every day. Vielle smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Watch all you want, old man. You will never understand what you see. They gave Vielle a small room at the edge of the settlement. 2 guards stood outside at all times. The alien did not complain. It seemed almost amused by their caution. Over the next few days, Tejo made several trips back to the submerged ship. He brought up more technology, more crystals, more strange devices. Yuna cataloged everything, trying to understand what each piece did. Vale watched. Sometimes it laughed at their efforts. Sometimes it offered small hints, just enough to keep them dependent on its knowledge. It treated them like pets learning tricks. Tejo hated it, but he also watched Vielle watching them. He saw how the alien's eyes followed the children playing in the settlement square. He saw how it stared at families eating together, sharing food they could barely afford to share. He saw how it looked at the guards who protected a community they were not even related to. One night, Tejo found Vielle standing at the edge of the cliff, looking down at the flooded city below. What are you doing? Tejo asked. Vale did not turn around. Thinking. About what? About how strange your species is. Vielle's voice was quiet, almost thoughtful. The Kirith lived for thousands of years. We had no need for family, no need for community. Each of us was complete alone. But you creatures, with your short little lives, you cling to each other like you are afraid of the dark. Tejo stood beside the alien, looking at the same view. We are afraid of the dark. That is why we build fires. That is why we stay together. Vielle made a sound that might have been a laugh. Foolish. Maybe. Where is your empire now? The alien did not answer. Tejo left it standing there, looking down at the drowned world. He did not trust Vielle. He did not like Vielle. But somewhere, in some small part of his mind, he was beginning to think that this ancient creature might have something to learn from humanity, whether it wanted to or not. 3 weeks passed. The settlement changed slowly. Touched by alien knowledge it was only beginning to understand. Yuna spent every day with Vielle in the workshop. The alien taught her how to read Kirith symbols, how to activate dormant systems, how to connect human machines to alien power sources. She learned faster than Vielle expected. Much faster. Your brain should not work this quickly, Vielle said one afternoon, watching Yuna repair a damaged crystal using techniques it had shown her only once. Kirith children take decades to master what you have learned in days. Yuna shrugged without looking up from her work. We do not have decades. We learn fast, or we die. Vielle said nothing. But Tejo, watching from the doorway, saw something flicker in those 4 alien eyes. Something like curiosity. Something like doubt. The alien was changing. Slowly, so slowly that even Taeho almost missed it. Viel still spoke with contempt. It still called humans primitive. It still acted like it was doing them a favor by existing. But there were moments now when the mask slipped. Taeho saw it when Viel watched the children play. The alien seemed fascinated by them, by their energy, by their laughter. Kirath children, Viel had once explained, were raised in isolation. They did not play. They did not form bonds. They were taught that connection was weakness. Human children were different. They fought and made up within minutes. They shared food even when they were hungry. They protected each other from nightmares with nothing but stories and warmth. Viel did not understand. But it could not stop watching. Taeho saw it again when old grandmother Sunak died. She was the oldest person in the settlement, nearly 90 years old. She had survived the floods, the wars, the plagues. She had buried 3 husbands and outlived all her children. She died quietly in her sleep, and the entire settlement mourned. Vale watched the funeral from a distance. It saw people weeping for a woman most of them were not related to. It saw children placing flowers on her grave. It saw Taeho standing with his arm around Yuna, both of them crying for someone who had been nothing more than a neighbor. After the funeral, Viel approached Taeho. "Why do you grieve?" the alien asked. Its voice was strange, almost gentle. She was old. Her death was expected. She was not your family. Taeho wiped his eyes. She was part of our community. That makes her family. You have known her for how long? 20 years? 30? I have lived for 4,000 years, and I have never mourned anyone. That sounds lonely. Vale opened its mouth to argue. Then it stopped. Its 4 eyes looked away. Perhaps, it said quietly, perhaps it is. The raiders came on a gray morning, when mist covered the cliffs and the sea was calm. There were 20 of them, armed with guns and knives. Desperate men from a dying settlement further down the coast. They wanted food. They wanted supplies. They were willing to kill for them. Taeho heard the alarm bells and grabbed his weapon. He ran to the gates with the other defenders, leaving Yuna and Viel in the workshop. The battle was short and brutal. The raiders were hungry and tired. The settlement's defenders were fighting for their families. Taeho killed 3 men himself, feeling nothing but cold necessity. Then a raider broke through the line. He ran toward the center of the settlement, toward the building where the children were hidden. Taeho saw him. He also saw a small boy, no more than 5 years old, who had wandered away from the shelter and was standing frozen in the raider's path. The boy was not Taeho's child. Taeho did not even know his name, but that did not matter. Taeho ran. The raider raised his knife. Taeho threw himself between them. The blade caught him in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. He fell, but he grabbed the raider as he went down, dragging the man with him. They struggled on the ground. Taeho's wounded arm screamed in agony, but he did not let go. He held on until another defender arrived and ended the fight. The boy ran away, crying, "Safe." Taeho lay in the dirt, bleeding, looking up at the gray sky. When he woke, he was in the medical building. Yuna sat beside him, her face pale with worry. His shoulder was bandaged, but the pain was still there, deep and throbbing. "You almost died," Yuna said. Her voice shook. "For a child, you do not even know. Someone had to protect him. Why you? Why does it always have to be you?" Taeho had no answer. He simply reached out and held his sister's hand. Vale stood in the doorway. It had been watching. Taeho could not read its expression. Those 4 alien eyes held something he had never seen before. Later, when Yuna had gone to rest, Vile approached Taeho's bed. "I do not understand you," the alien said. "What is there to understand? You nearly died. For a child who is not yours, a child you have never spoken to, a child who will probably never remember what you did." Vile's voice was quiet, confused. Why? Taeho thought about the question. He thought about all the times he had risked his life for strangers. All the times he had given food to hungry people he did not know. All the times he had stood watch through cold nights so others could sleep. Because someone has to, he said finally. Because if I do not protect that child, who will? Because he is part of my community, and my community is part of me. His life matters. Not because he can give me anything, not because he is useful, just because he exists. Viel stared at him for a long moment. The Kirith would call that weakness. We would say you waste yourself for those who do not deserve it. And where are the Kirith now? The alien flinched. It was a small movement, barely visible. But Teho saw it. We are gone, Viel admitted. Dead. Forgotten. Our empire lasted 10,000 years. And in the end, we fell because we had forgotten how to care about each other. When the wars came, no one fought for their neighbors. No one sacrificed for strangers. Everyone tried to save themselves alone. It paused. Everyone died alone. Teho let that sink in. Humans are weak, he said. We live short lives. We feel too much. We get attached to people we should not care about. But maybe that is why we are still here. Maybe that is why we will always be here, long after every great empire has turned to dust. Viel did not respond. It stood there, looking at the wounded human who had almost died for a stranger's child. Then it did something Teho did not expect. It bowed. A small movement, barely more than a nod. But Teho understood. It was respect. The first real respect Viel had shown to any human. You are a strange species, Viel said. Terrifying, in your own way. Teho smiled despite the pain. We try. The alien left without another word. But something had changed. Teho could feel it. The barrier between them had cracked. Not broken. Not yet. But cracked. Perhaps there was hope for Viel after all. Perhaps even an ancient monster could learn to be human. Yuna found the truth on a quiet evening, while everyone else was eating dinner. She had been searching through the starship's database for weeks, looking for anything useful. Medical technology, agricultural knowledge, engineering designs. The ship held thousands of years of Kirith history, and most of it was still locked behind security systems she did not understand. That night, she finally cracked one of those systems. The files poured onto her screen. Reports, testimonies, images. She read them slowly, her hands growing cold, her stomach turning sick. Viel was not just a prisoner. Viel was a monster. The documents described the aliens' crimes in terrible detail. Viel had been a scientist, one of the greatest the Kirith Empire had ever produced. It had specialized in biological weapons, living plagues that could be designed to target specific species, viruses that could wipe out entire worlds in weeks. Viel had used those weapons. 3 planets had burned because of its creations. Billions of lives gone. Entire civilizations erased from existence. The Kirith had finally stopped Viel, but executing it would have made it a martyr, so they locked it away instead. Eternal sleep. Eternal punishment. And now it was awake, and it was living among humans. Yuna ran to find Teho. She pulled him away from his meal, dragged him to the workshop, and showed him everything. Teho read the files in silence. His face grew hard. His hands curled into fists. We need to tell Elder Dongwon, he said. And then what? Kill it? We need its knowledge. Without Veil, we cannot operate the ship's systems. It murdered billions. It destroyed worlds. We cannot just ignore that. Yuna grabbed his arm. I know. But there is something else. Something worse. She showed him the final file she had found. A system log from the ship itself. When Viel woke up, the ship's emergency beacon had activated. It had been sending a signal into space for weeks. A distress call. Broadcasting the ship's location to anyone who might be listening. Someone was listening. The database held records of an enemy species called the Mora. They had fought the Kirath for centuries before the Empire fell. They hated the Kirath with a passion that had outlived both civilizations, and they had been searching for Veil specifically. The Mora wanted the bioweapon technology. They wanted to capture Viel and extract its knowledge. They would not ask nicely. They would not negotiate. They would take what they wanted and destroy everything in their path. The ship's sensors had detected a signal response. A fleet was coming. A Mora fleet. It would arrive in 5 days. Tejo felt the blood drain from his face. We have to tell everyone. We have to evacuate. To where? There is nowhere to go. The Mora will find us wherever we run. They brought the news to Elder Dongwon. The old man listened without expression. When Yuna finished explaining, he sat in silence for a long moment. So we have a choice, he said finally. We can give them the alien and hope they leave us alone. Or we can fight and probably die. There is no hope they leave us alone, Yuna said. The Mora do not make deals. They take. The reports say they exterminated every species they encountered during the war. They will not spare us just because we hand over one prisoner. Dongwon nodded slowly. Then we fight. Then we fight. With what? Tejo demanded. We have rifles and knives. They have starships. We have a starship too. Everyone turned to look at Vale. The alien stood in the doorway, its 4 eyes unreadable. None of them knew how long it had been listening. You know, Tejo said. It was not a question. I know everything. I know what I did. I know what is coming. I know you have been discussing whether to surrender me or execute me. Vale stepped into the room. Neither option will save you. The Mora will destroy this world regardless of what you do. They cannot allow witnesses. Elder Dongwon studied the alien. Then why are you telling us this? Why not run? Why not save yourself? Vale was silent for a long moment. Its eyes moved from face to face, looking at the humans who had every reason to hate it. Because I am tired, it said finally. Tired of running. Tired of hiding. Tired of being the monster in old stories. It looked at Tejo. You asked me once where the Kirath are now. I told you we died alone because we forgot how to care. I watched you almost die for a child you did not know. I have seen your people share food when they are starving. I have seen you weep for strangers. Vale paused. I have been alive for 4,000 years, and I have never seen anything like that. That does not change what you did. No, it does not. I am guilty. I killed billions. Nothing can undo that. But perhaps I can save one world before I die. Perhaps that is worth something. Yuna stepped forward. You said we have a starship. Can we use it to fight? Vale shook its head. The ship is damaged. Its weapons systems are offline. But there is a way to restore them. A way to make the ship powerful enough to destroy the entire Mora fleet. Then why have you not told us? Because the price is high. Vale looked directly at Tejo. The ship's weapons can only be activated by a living pilot linking directly with its core. The neural interface is designed for Kirath minds. For us, it meant certain death. Our brains could not handle the strain. And for humans, I do not know. Your minds are different. Chaotic. Adaptable. A human might survive the interface. Or they might burn out like a candle in a storm. There is no way to know without trying. The room went silent. Tejo understood what Vale was saying. Someone would have to volunteer. Someone would have to risk their mind, their life, for a chance to save everyone else. He knew who it would be. I will do it, he said. Yuna grabbed his arm. No. Brother, please. There has to be another way. There is no other way. The Mora are coming. If we do nothing, everyone dies. If I try the interface, maybe I die. Maybe I live. But at least there is a chance. Elder Dongwon bowed his head. You do not have to do this, Tejo. We can ask for volunteers. And let someone else die in my place? No. This is my responsibility. I woke Vale. I brought it here. I will finish what I started. He looked at Vale. The alien's expression was strange. Not contempt, not mockery. Something almost like pain. You are sure? Vale asked. I am sure. Then I will prepare you. We have 5 days. It will not be enough time to teach you everything. but it might be enough to keep you alive." Yuna was crying. She hugged Taeho tightly, her tears soaking into his shirt. "I cannot lose you," she whispered. "You are the only family I have left." Taeho held her close. "You will not lose me, I promise." He did not know if he could keep that promise, but he made it anyway, because that was what humans did. They made promises they were not sure they could keep. They hoped for things that might never happen. They fought for futures they might never see. And sometimes, against all odds, they won. 5 days. 5 days to learn how to control an alien warship. 5 days to prepare for a battle that might end humanity before it truly began. Taeho looked at Viel, at Yuna, at Elder Dongwon. "Let us get started," he said. The 5 days passed like water through fingers. Too fast. Never enough. Vale worked without rest, teaching Taeho everything it knew about the ship's systems. The alien pushed him hard, harder than any human had ever pushed him. Every mistake earned sharp criticism. Every success earned only more demands. But there was something different in Viel now. A desperation that had nothing to do with survival. The alien was trying to give Taeho the best possible chance. It was trying to save him. Yuna helped where she could. She repaired the ship's damaged systems, rerouted power, patched holes in the hull. She worked until her hands bled and her eyes burned. She refused to sleep. On the 4th night, Taeho found her crying in the workshop. "I cannot do this," she said. "I cannot watch you die." Taeho sat beside her. "You will not have to. I will come back." "How can you promise that? How can you promise anything?" "I cannot. But I have to believe it. And I need you to believe it too. And to vary you." Yuna looked at him with red eyes. "Why? Why does it have to be you?" "Because no one else can do it. Because our people need someone to protect them. Because you are smart enough to lead them after I am gone. But I am the only one stubborn enough to fly that ship." She laughed despite her tears. It was a broken sound, but it was real. "You are an idiot," she said. "Yes, but I am your idiot." They held each other until morning came. On the 5th day, the sensors detected the Mora fleet. 15 ships, dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. They were massive, dark, covered in weapons that could crack planets in half. They moved toward Earth with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. The settlement evacuated into the mountains. Elder Dongwon led them, his old legs carrying him further than they had in years. He refused to let anyone help him. He refused to show weakness. Yuna stayed with Taeho until the last moment. She walked with him to the starship, now fully risen from the water, floating above the waves on power that should have been impossible. At the entrance, they stopped. "Come back," Yuna said. "Whatever happens, come back to me." "I will." She kissed his forehead. Then she turned and ran, not looking back, because if she looked back, she would never let him go. Taeho entered the ship alone. Vale waited at the control center. The chamber was vast, filled with flowing light and humming crystals. At the center stood the neural interface, a throne of metal and glass that pulsed with alien energy. "Are you ready?" Viel asked. "No." "Good. Anyone who says they are ready for this is lying." Taeho approached the throne. He looked at it for a long moment, then turned back to Viel. "You could have run," he said. "When the signal went out, when you knew they were coming, you could have escaped and left us to die. Why did you stay?" Viel was silent for a long moment. "In 4,000 years," the alien finally said, "I have never met a species willing to die for strangers. I thought it was weakness. I thought it was foolishness. I was wrong." Its 4 eyes met Taeho's. "You are not insects. You are not accidents. You are something the Kirath never were, something I never was. You are worth saving. Even if it costs me everything I have left." Taeho nodded slowly. "Then let us save them together." He sat in the throne. The pain hit immediately. It felt like fire and ice at the same time. rushing through his veins, burning through his brain. He screamed. He could not help it. The agony was beyond anything he had ever experienced. But he did not break. The ship's systems flooded his mind. Weapons, engines, shields, sensors, knowledge that no human had ever possessed, power that could reshape worlds. It was too much. It was impossibly too much. He should have been destroyed. Any Kirith would have been destroyed. But Teho was human. His brain was not built for order. It was built for chaos. It adapted. It rewired. It found connections that should not have existed and made them work anyway. The pain did not go away, but he learned to move through it. He learned to think despite it. He opened his eyes. He was the ship now. He could feel every system, every wire, every bolt. He could feel the ocean below and the stars above. He could feel the Mora fleet approaching like wolves hunting sheep. He rose. The ship lifted into the sky, higher and higher, until the earth was a blue marble below. Teho looked down at it, at the world that had survived so much. And he felt a love so fierce it almost broke him. This was his home, his people, his family. He would not let them fall. The Mora fleet detected him. 15 ships turned their weapons toward the single vessel, rising to meet them. They broadcast a message, arrogant and certain. Surrender the war criminal Viel. Surrender your world. Your species will be processed for study. Resistance is irrelevant, Teho answered. His voice echoed through every communication system in the fleet. It was calm. It was steady. It carried 4,000 years of borrowed knowledge and a lifetime of human stubbornness. My name is Teho. I am a human from the planet Earth. You have threatened my home. You have threatened my people. I am giving you one chance to leave. Take it. The Mora laughed. Their laughter filled the communication channels, ugly and confident. They had conquered 100 worlds. They had never lost. One tiny ship and one primitive creature meant nothing to them. You are a fool, the Mora commander said. You will die like all the others. Teho smiled. Perhaps. But you first. He fired. The ship's main weapon discharged with a light that blinded stars. A beam of pure energy crossed the void in an instant and struck the Mora flagship dead center. The massive vessel crumpled like paper, then exploded in a ball of fire that swallowed 3 nearby ships. 4 ships gone in a single shot. The remaining Mora stopped laughing. They fired back. Missiles and beams and weapons Teho had no names for. They hit his shields, cracking them, pushing through. Pain flooded his mind. He was the ship, and the ship was wounded, but he did not stop. He flew through their formation, dodging, weaving, firing. Every movement hurt. Every shot cost him something he was not sure he could afford. He felt his mind fraying at the edges, burning out neuron by neuron. He did not care. He thought of Yuna. He thought of Elder Dongwan. He thought of the children playing in the settlement square, the families sharing food, the guards standing watch through cold nights. He thought of every small kindness he had ever witnessed, every sacrifice he had ever seen. This was what humans were. This was what they had always been. Small creatures fighting against an uncaring universe, refusing to give up, refusing to die, refusing to let the darkness win. He destroyed another ship. Then another. The Mora fleet was breaking apart, fleeing, terrified of this impossible thing that should not exist. The commander's ship tried to run. Teho caught it. He wrapped his weapons around it like hands around a throat. You want to know what we are? He said, his voice raw with pain and fury. We are humans. We are weak and short-lived and emotional. We cry at funerals and laugh at weddings and die for people we barely know. We are everything you think we are. But we are also this. We are the species that fights when there is no hope. We are the species that protects when there is no reward. We are the species that loves so hard it hurts. He tightened his grip. Remember our name. Tell everyone who asks. The humans of Earth are not to be touched. Ever. The commander's ship crumbled. The Mora fleet scattered into the dark, jumping to faster than light speed. Running from a single human in a borrowed ship, Tejo let them go. He had won. The journey back to Earth was long. Tejo could barely stay conscious. The neural interface had burned through most of his mind. He was alive, but only barely. Only because he was too stubborn to die. He landed the ship near the settlement. Yuna was waiting. She ran to him as he stumbled from the entrance, catching him before he fell. "You came back," she whispered. "I promised." He collapsed in her arms. He woke 3 days later. His body was broken. His mind was scarred. He would never be the same. But he was alive. Vale came to see him that evening. The alien stood at the foot of his bed, looking at the human who had done the impossible. "The Mora will not return," Vale said. "You terrified them. They have never faced anything like you." Tejo smiled weakly. "Good." Crow. Vielle was quiet for a moment. Then it did something Tejo had never seen. It knelt. An ancient alien, older than human civilization, kneeling before a wounded man in a simple bed. "I have lived 4,000 years, Vielle said. "I have seen empires rise and fall. I have witnessed wonders you cannot imagine. But I have never seen anything like what you did. I have never seen anyone fight like you fight, love like you love, sacrifice like you sacrifice." The alien looked up. "I would like to stay. Not as a guest. Not as a prisoner. As a member of your community. If you will have me." Tejo looked at this creature that had murdered billions, that had been a monster for 4,000 years, that had spent weeks mocking humanity's weakness. He saw something different now. He saw someone who had been alone for too long. Someone who had finally found something worth caring about. "Welcome to Earth," Tejo said. "Welcome to the family." Vale bowed its head. Outside, the sun was setting over a world that had almost died. Children played in the square. Families gathered for dinner. Guards stood watch through the coming night. Humanity had faced the stars and survived. They would face them again. And again. And again. Because that was what they did. That was what they would always do.